Hello, artists. Welcome to art class with Mrs. A. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this really cool crab collage. A collage is a piece of art made by sticking various different materials such as photographs and pieces of paper or fabric onto a backing. What I used was magazines to create the background and also the crab. I cut them with scissors and I glued them to a white piece of paper. So you will need scissors, glue, either a glue stick or white glue, whatever kind of glue you have, and also different things that you're going to use to stick to the background, such as magazines or maybe paper that you made or fabric, anything you have that you can use as collaging material. I will first teach you how to draw the crab, so if you don't want to do a collage, you can also do this artwork as a drawing or a painting. Before we begin, I want to read you a book about a little crab that inspired this artwork. Little crab. Early in the morning, in the summer's heat, little crab goes walking on 8 little feet. Here's a net snarled by the tide. And here's a fish that's caught inside. The little crab snips the net and the little fish is free. And little crab goes walking home down by the sea. Begin by drawing the body of the crab. Did you know crab skeletons are on their outside of their body? Their shell is an exoskeleton. It protects them from other animals trying to eat them. They have 2 eyes at the end of little stalks, so I drew 2 little lines and circles for the eyes, and now I'm going to draw the claws. So I'm drawing them in sections, and I'm doing one side and then the other side, so they're almost like ovals. And crabs have 2 claws. They have 4 sets of legs, so I'm going to draw 8 legs, 4 on each side, plus the claws, which are also considered legs, which means they really have 10 legs. So there's the basics of drawing a crab. Now I'm going to draw the background. My crab is going to be walking from the sand into the water. There are more than 6,500 kinds of crabs. They can be as small as a pea crab or as large as a Japanese spider crab, which can be up to 13 feet. Begin by collecting your materials. I went through some magazines and ripped out some pages of things that were orange and red that I'm going to use for my crab. So I used a permanent marker to draw the shape of the crab on my magazine before I cut it out. You can also draw with a pen if you'd like. I'm not gluing the pieces down, I'm just placing them on my drawing. I want to show you how to properly use a scissor. Notice how when I cut, I put the edge of the paper all the way to the end of the scissor. So I'm not cutting with just the tip. If you cut all the way at the end, then you'll get better control of what you're cutting. I know that it's difficult to cut things, but that's why it's important to practice, and the more you practice, the better you will be at cutting. My crab's inspired by the color of this crab, but crabs come in many different colors, so you do not need to do yours orange or red. You can pick different colors. You can also use artistic license and make up your own color for a crab. I'm continuing to cut out different pieces and laying them down on my drawing for my crab before I begin the background. Again, I'm not gluing these down yet. I'm trying to use a variety of different colors and not all the same color because I want it to look unique. These last legs are actually flamingo feathers. Now it's time for the background. I have a new piece of paper and I already cut out all the different shapes for the sand and glued them down. And I cut out a bunch of different color blues and greens and purples that I can use for the water. Notice how I cut them. They kind of look like wavy lines because it's supposed to represent water. And I'm not using just one color, I'm using a lot of different colors. So I'm gluing all those down and then I will decide where the crab goes. All right, here's my background. Now I'm going to glue the crab down. So let me scoot this over. This little piece is sticking up, so I'm going to glue it down. Now my piece of paper that has the crab on it. Remember, this crab was not glued down. So I'm going to take the body and flip it over and glue the legs to the back. So I'm going to put a little drop of glue. Make sure you flip it over. And then I'm going to stick that underneath so that the legs look like they're coming from underneath the crab rather than on top of the shell. So I'm going to do that for all the legs, just a little drop of glue. Make sure you put it on the back side of the leg and then put the leg where you want it. This will help with gluing it down to your background that has the water and sand on it. After you glue all the legs to the back of the shell, then you'll take that piece and put it on your background to see where it looks best. So let me scoot that aside. Where will it look good? I'm going to have it in the water a little more than on the sand because I'm afraid it'll slightly disappear in the sand because it's almost the same color. And then I'm going to glue the rest of the pieces onto the background. You can leave the edges with paper hanging off like this, or you can trim the edges off if you want it to look more like this. I hope you enjoy this project.